Okay, just about to set off to work. I've got to be in Bristol, so it's 40 miles away. Battery's at 100%. The range says 64 miles. Can I reset the trip? Hold up on the menu. So trip 2, 0 miles, setting off from home. Range says 64 miles. We'll see how we go. 8:05 in the morning. I've got to be in a meeting for 10. And I've got to go on the back roads, so we'll see how we do. It's a beautiful morning, 15 degrees. Let's go. Right then, so good morning. Here we go, off to work. The commute on the bike. Different place for me, normal place to work than I normally go, but my bike's in for a service in Bristol, and luckily I'm in Bristol today in a meeting, so I can go and collect it. So here we go. So BMW CE04, fully electric, and normally I'd hop on the motorway and bosh it out, but on this you can't do it. The problem, I've learned a lot. I've had this bike 3 days, and I love it and hate it. Not love it and hate it, it's just I'll try and explain. I'll try my best to explain. When I picked the bike up, so I had it Tuesday, Wednesday, and today's Thursday. So when I picked the bike up on Tuesday after dropping my GS off, I got on the motorway to come home and learnt very quickly you can't ride this at motorway speeds and expect to get any range. As soon as you do 60 mile an hour plus and you're constantly using the power, it destroys the battery. So 65, 60, 65, 70 mile an hour, it will not do 40 miles. So within 2 junctions I realised that, so I set off in Bristol and came off at the Bath junction, which is what, 10 miles probably, but it used 20 miles in battery. See, I'm down to 39 miles now. Yeah, I'm starting to get a bit nervous. So I've used 20 miles range in 10 mile of driving. Yeah, I'm gonna have to slow down. Definitely coming off of the junction ahead. So that was interesting. So today I'm quite nervous, obviously, because I've got to do the journey back to Bristol. But because I learnt my lesson, I'm doing back roads all the way, which is obviously going to take me longer, hence why I've set off with 2 hours to spare. And it'll be fun anyway, back roads, isn't it? It's better than doing the motorway, but it's obviously going to be a lot slower travel time. But in that, you learn the lesson that that's not what this bike is designed for. It's a commuter, isn't it? It's a city commuter. Okay, you could probably do 1 or 2 junctions, or some urban dual carriageway at 50 mile an hour, but 50, 60 mile an hour, but no more than that. This thing is designed to, you get up in the morning after it being on charge all night and setting off without waking the neighbours up. It's great for that. I've quite enjoyed getting up in the morning and setting off. Normally I set off at like 5:45 in the morning to get to work, and there's no noise, and that's really nice. Instead of a barking Aprilia Tuono that I have. But yeah, if you live in the city, it makes complete sense. The range is definitely there if you're using the power and using a bit of regen. I'll pull over in a bit and I'll show you around the bike. I just need to get out of town a little bit. Union flag, love a bit of the Union flag. They've abandoned us, haven't they? governing powers. So unfortunately the journey is there's an area that I would normally use which has had a landslip, so the road is closed. So I've got to get to this certain spot and find a detour around it, and I'm sure it's open, although I looked at the map this morning and it said there's some roadworks on the detour, so that's going to be quite interesting. So we'll see how we do. You know, it could be chaos but we'll see. But yeah, going back to the range, you know, it's I commuted to work yesterday, which is a 30-mile trip each way, and it's not a problem on roads like this where you're, you know, 30, 40, 50 mile an hour and you're on and off the throttle. It will do, you know, if you do the, you know, if it's 30 miles, the bike will use 30 miles of battery, because you're on and off the throttle, you're regenning and you're not at a constant speed, constantly using the battery. So it varies depending so much. I've learned so much about electric just riding this for a couple of days. I've also spoken to a couple of I've got a friend of mine who's balls deep with electric vehicles. He's got 2 electric cars, he's got the solar panels and the batteries in the house. You know, he's gone full on at it, and he loves it. You know, he takes great pleasure in telling me how much money he's getting back from the grid, you know, because of his solar, you know, and how little it's costing him to run everything. You know, he takes great pleasure in telling me that. I have to remind him that it cost him 12 grand to put the solar panels up on his roof and the batteries in his house. You know, it takes a while to recoup that money, doesn't it? But you know, and how long do they last and all this sort of thing. You know, it's all these questions that need answering, and I don't think we're really there yet, are we? It's so well balanced that I'm like doing no miles an hour. Right, line them. So now you decide to pull out. All that time, oh, wants to go left, look. Wants to go left. It is seriously so well balanced though. You know, it's basically a scooter, isn't it? Steel frame scooter with an electric motor and a load of batteries in. 8.2 kilowatt, is it 8.2 or 8.9? Let's call it 8.5. 8.5 kilowatts of batteries. All BMW stuff, you know, out of their car division. But you see, this is the sweet spot, 30 mile an hour, look. I'm not using power and I'm not regenning. It's the sweet, well, I am using power. I'm obviously using power, but it's at the sweet spot, as opposed to when you're doing 60 mile an hour and it's just constantly using power. It, like I said, on a motorway, that's all it does, and the bike just isn't set up for that sort of riding. This is Royal Wootton Bassett. This is where all our guys used to be repatriated back when they flew back into the country. Hence why it's now called Royal Wootton Bassett. The Queen gave it the royal title. And the streets used to be lined whenever they used to run a guy through. Right, now I've got to make a choice here. Let's go straight on. Let's go straight on. So yeah, on Tuesday when I was riding back from Bristol, I had to, like I said, I had to make 2 detours. Firstly, I had to come off the motorway, and then I thought, crikey, I'm gonna have to pull into my mate's place, who lives about halfway between Bristol and Swindon and put some charge in the battery to get me home. But I didn't do that because because it was regenning when I came off the motorway, and the mileage actually started to increase. In fact, it's gone up. I've now got 60 miles. So, this is completely different riding. Tuesday I hated it. Today and yesterday I'm sort of getting it. My anxiety is lifting. I had terrible anxiety on Tuesday. Terrible. Genuinely, when I was on the motorway, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm not going to make it home. I'm going to have to phone up BMW and tell them to come and get me. While we're just cruising around, let's just talk about how it rides. It rides really nice, actually. It's heavy, very heavy. It's 230 kilos. It's the sort of the weight of a GS, if I'm honest. But it doesn't, it's flickable because the weight in the batteries is right down, well, they're below my feet. They're right down there, it rides nice. You can do 70 mile an hour, and it's just planted. The suspension copes with the weight very well. It's good. It rides good because it's so long, 66 inches long. It's really stable. And it's not too bad flicking through traffic. When you're in two lines of traffic and you're squeezing through it, you can sort of zigzag through it all, at very low speeds without having to put your feet down. It's just well balanced. And as I've grown used to it over the couple of days, I've grown with confidence with it. And I thought to myself, would I buy one? Would I have one of these? I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? Why would I want one of these over a motorbike? Because unfortunately you've got to have a full motorcycle license to ride it, which is a bit of a shame. If the government want everybody riding or driving around on electric stuff, and I think they need to start looking at the rules and the laws. I think if you've got a car license, I think you should be able to own a CE04. But this being automatic, well, twist and go. I don't know why a car driver can't have one of these. It sort of makes sense. If they want a city commuter, get people out of their cars, less congestion on the roads, I think they need to start looking at alternative licenses for these sort of vehicles. But it's not like that at the moment, so you've got to abide by the rules. So, this is CE04. The 04 means it's in comparison to a 400cc motorcycle. 40 horsepower is what the claimed figure is. And goodness me, this will outperform. I mean, let me just nail it. I mean, look at the speedo. It will outperform a lot of motorbikes, certainly 40 horsepower motorbikes anyway. It pulls from nothing, and it just keeps pulling and pulling all the way up to 79 mile an hour, where it's restricted. It's governed. It pulls to 79 mile an hour and it stops. It just will not do. It won't do 80. It stops at 79. Okay, right, this is the road that's shut. Well signposted, isn't it? Right, that white van looks like he knows where he's going. So let's get after him. It's relatively well, it is cheap to run, other than the outlay. The outlay is, 12... Oh, this is interesting. Right, push down the R. Is he? What's going on? Okay. Did you see that? It's got reverse gear. Well, I'll explain more of that in a moment. Thank you, my dear. Right, I think I'll turn right up here somewhere. See, this is the things you've got to do with electric vehicles. You've got to come up with alternative means and routes. This is the road, so all that up there has subsided down the bank. And it's been like that for 5 years. But we're looking good, you know, 15 miles on the trip, and it's still got 53 in the tank. You know, it's looking good, isn't it? I'm moderately impressed. But that is what makes all the difference, though. The regen and 30 mile an hour 40, like I don't know how many times I've said. How are we doing for time? Slow going though, isn't it? It is slow going. You know, and then you need all the apps on your phone, and you know, all the, you know, so you can find the tariffs and find all the charging stations. And I just don't want them. You know, I'm becoming quite, you know, I don't like all these apps on my phone. People know what I'm doing and where I'm going, where I'm filling up, and what I'm finding it a little bit invasive. Let's blast past this a bit quick. See, it pulls nice, doesn't it, from the mid-range. The bike is aimed at a market, and you just got to respect it for the market that it's aimed at. It's a commuter tool on B roads. You know, if you live in a village just outside the city, this makes complete sense. The weather protection on the legs is good. This is a full-on blast of the chest. That screen does absolutely nothing. But there are options for taller screens, which I would suggest you will need. But look at this, you know, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's a beautiful ride. It's silent. All you can hear is probably the wind roar coming in on the mic. You know, it's lost a few miles there. That was a bit of constant speed at 50, look. And we're now at 17.9, and it's down to 46 miles. So I think this is the issue for me, is how variable that range can be depending on how you ride it. It's not a true reflection. I suppose if you thrash any petrol vehicle, the fuel economy is going to plummet, isn't it? But it's growing with confidence. See how it flip-flop through that roundabout? You know, it's just... You'll never be able to wheelie it, though. Never. It just... No matter how hard you twist the throttle, because the thing is so heavy at the front, it's never going to come up. It just drives. You know, if you do the traffic light drive, you just nail the throttle and it just propels forward. It will, I'd imagine it's going to chew through rear tyres super fast if you use all the torque. Okay, so this is Chippenham. See, this is what this thing's great at. Bom, bom, bom. Oh, I go this way. We'll go this way. Right, so this is the A420 to Bristol. It runs parallel with the motorway all the way into Bristol now. So this is the road I need to be on, and I'm good for time. I'm good for battery. Yeah, for somebody who's, you know, been used to, you know, the combustion engine, you know, and you know, now we've got another alternative, haven't we, with electric. I don't believe I don't believe the hysteria that we're getting. You know, I think they're up to no good, these people, but you know, it's I believe we should all have a choice of getting whatever we want, you know, and if everybody wants to go electric, let everybody go electric. If everybody wants to drive around in whatever they want, let them. It's choice, isn't it? Yeah, it is tricky. I'm going to go back to the big question: who's going to buy it? Yeah, like I said, it's a city commuter. I don't think it'll be something you go and buy to go and have pleasure on. I don't know, because it's growing on me. The range has gone up, you know. See what I mean about the variables? I suppose you get used to that, but 20.6 miles now, and I'm now at 48 miles. You know, and that was just slowing the speed down and going through town. So, you know, I think the range is there. You just got to use the bike for what it's designed for. Unless nobody waves to you, though. Maybe they're going, "Ooh, is that one of them BMW CE04s?" Maybe they're in shock. But I don't think I've had a biker wave at me yet. The seating position is all right. The hump in the seat, maybe for me, isn't quite in the right place. You know, it's that feet forward, slouchy position. But it's okay. So this is what kills the battery, look. 60 mile an hour road, you know, 22.6 from the last measurement that I did, and it's gone down to 41 miles in the tank. You know, so speed kills. Right, this is where it might be a little bit tricky. This is a 50 mile an hour road all the way now. A couple of tiny little 30 mile an hours as we go into a couple of small villages, which I'll get some regen back, but yeah, this is probably going to use a little bit of battery, but I'm still looking good. What did I set off with? 60 miles in the tank. I've done 28.7, and the bike currently shows I've got 30 miles left to go in it. So far so good, but I think this constant 50 is gonna eat into the battery a little bit. See, on a real motorbike, now your social, domestic and pleasure motorbike and commuting, you'd be hooning along here, wouldn't you? You know, but all I'm thinking about is saving battery. And all the cars I've just overtaken are all right behind me because they all want to go quicker than I'm doing. I haven't used the brakes, just the regen is stopping the bike. Downhill now, so let's try and get some regen back into the... It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun, but you know, as if you bought this bike and you did this trip every day, you become used to it, don't you? At the moment, you know, all I'm doing is concentrating, and I'm completely focused on that range. It's distracting me. But I suppose the more you get used to it, the less you focus on that. That anxiety will be lifted. He gave me a nod, good man. Well, like I said this morning, I did have, because of what happened on Tuesday, getting home, to what I've got now, I have no range anxiety whatsoever. Like I said, you just got to use the bike for what it's actually designed to do. It's not designed to go on a motorway. You know, and for somebody who isn't used to the electric vehicle thing, it massively depends on how you're driving. Hugely. I'm also told it matters hugely on the temperature, you know, the environment, all those things can affect the battery. You know, so there's lots of variables you need to take into account, but this has been quite an enjoyable ride this morning. Whether I'd say the same in the weather, you know, if it's chucking it down with rain, maybe not. In the winter, maybe not. So now we're getting into the environment that this bike is designed for. You know, we're coming into Bristol City, and this is where it's going to shine. I have no idea where I'm going. Ah, this is looking good. Bristol A420. See, if I was a city commuter and I had a spare 12 grand and I had obviously a Tuono already in the garage, because I can't imagine, personally, I can't imagine just having this as a bike. But there are people out there that have motorcycle licenses that don't have motorbikes anymore, that need to commute. You know, and it sort of makes sense, doesn't it? I think. Is this all 20 mile an hour zone down here now, is it? A trip check, 37.8 miles, and I've got 30 in the tank. It's doing well, isn't it? It's doing well. Oh, this is where I want to be. What a stroke of luck. What a stroke of luck. It's almost as if I planned it. Okay, so I've got to pull over and show you around the bike super quick. Do you need to have a look around the bike? Yeah, you do need to have a look around the bike, really. There's a couple of things I want to talk about anyway. Right, this will do, won't it? This will do. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. Turn the bike off. BMW CE04, as it sits, it is long, isn't it? You know, but it handles great. You know, straight line stability is fantastic, smooth through corners, all the weight's down below, all the batteries are down under your feet all the way along there. Electric motor at the back, 66 inches long, 15-inch wheels. You know, it is what it is. It is a steel frame scooter with electric motor and batteries in. You know, nothing too radical except for the styling, which personally I really like. When I first saw it, I thought, oh, crikey, that's a bit funky. You know, I kind of like it. That screen does absolutely nothing, you know, but there's options, you know, for bigger screens. Most of it's BMW, well, all of it's BMW, you know, that's the same mirrors as on my GS, you know, that's what off the GT, isn't it? All BMW, borrowed off, I'd imagine the batteries are borrowed off the car department, you know, and all the rest of it's borrowed off other bikes. The charging point, you can open that, you don't need the ignition on to open the charging point, which I suppose makes sense. Charging plug, which is there. Okay, with the side stand down, there you can't roll the bike. There's a brake that locks on. I believe it's a cable that's attached to the side stand that applies the rear brake, which is an interesting thing. Belt driven. You know, they last forever, don't they? Okay, so it's keyless ride, keys in my pocket, push the button to start it or to turn it on, and then the bike comes alive. Right, this is where I'm going to finish the video. So, right, 40.2 miles total distance. Okay, and I've got 32 miles left in the tank. So what did I set off with? 60, didn't I? So I've done 40 miles and I've only used 30 miles of range on the back roads, and I've still got 48% battery left. You know, what can you say? It's in dynamic mode. You can switch through the modes with the modes button. So you've got dynamic, eco, rain, road. You know, I don't know what the specs are and what's using eco mode and rain mode, how much power is reduced. Sorry guys, I don't know. But with the ignition on, then you can get into other bits of the bike. You can get into the side panel, little button to release it there, okay, which I've got the charging cable in. 30 litre capacity. You can chuck a helmet in there, obviously, when you're charging cable in there. In here, there's a couple of spanners to adjust the preload on the rear shock. It is a preload only, no rebound and compression damping. You know, it's just a basic shock, but it's nice. You know, it rides nice. You know, little LED light in there as well, if you can see that. You know, it's nice to have somewhere to store your helmet, isn't it? Here as well, you've got a release for this little pocket, which interestingly, I'll show you this. So interestingly, I can get my iPhone in. There is a spring load. You push it in and back, and it drops into like a cradle. Okay, so I can get my iPhone in there, but I can't get my Samsung Galaxy Note 10 in there. See, it just won't go into the cradle. So there's a USB-C socket there, so you can charge your phone and connect it obviously to all the BMW features, which I'll run through quickly now. So you go into you've got my vehicle. Press the menu button. You can scroll. Got navigation. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up because it's greyed out because I haven't got my phone connected to the bike. But it's got navigation, media, telephone, and settings. You know, so you know, you can see all the information about your vehicle. You know, temperature okay, tire pressures, onboard computer. You know, journey, time, and all that sort of stuff. You know, it's going to tell you everything, isn't it? All that boring information. There's a DIMM plug socket down here for any other accessories that you want to plug in. £12,500 retail on the road. But I'm sure there's some deals around. I'm sure the guys at Dick Love It will love to speak to you and talk to you about whatever they can do for you. Shocks non-adjustable, forks, sorry, non-adjustable, and a back wheel out of a 1970s Morris Minor. Yeah, pretty funky, I like it, and it's grown on me more than I thought. To start it, or to ride it, okay, there's the brake. Look, I can't move it until you put the side stand up, and now I can move it. Look, okay, to start it, you have to pull in with the ignition on, then you hold in a brake, hit the start button, and it flicks to the ride screen that we've had all the way here, and away you go, and that's it, as simple as that. I tried to show you this earlier, but things happened around. It's got a reverse. You that R with the star, hold that down, changes to that display, and it goes backwards. 2 miles an hour is the most I've had out of it, and then release it, and it goes forward. Pretty handy because it's quite a heavy bike. You know, and if you're on a slight incline, you know, it's useful, isn't it? And then all the other usual mod cons: heated grips, okay, low, medium, and high setting. Heated seat as well, low, medium, and high setting, which you do with the scroll wheel and with the heated button there. So heated seat and heated grips, but that's obviously going to eat into the battery, isn't it? So, but I don't need it on a day like this. Is beautiful, isn't it? Okay. That's it. Okay, so I haven't really got any more to say. Pretty good. Pleasantly surprised. From the anxiety that I had on Tuesday to 3 days later riding the bike, I'm converted. Whether I couldn't justify a commuter only, which is probably but that's me. That other people just want a commuter. So but I would recommend it. Especially if you've got an electric car and you've already got the hookups. It makes complete sense, and you don't want to road bike, or you've already got a road bike and this is an optional extra. That's it. Thanks for watching. As always, really appreciate it. Thanks for clicking on the video. I hope it's been informative. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you like me, please subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, I'm off to my meeting. Cheers for now.